Hello everyone, this is GameBro64. I am doing a Storm 130 upgraded Storm setup build. Let's hope you enjoy. To start off this, I'm going to do something a little bit different than my normal Storm setup. I'm still working on all the pieces to acquire, so I'm going to show you all the pieces I've already obtained, and then I'm going to show you the overall total setup, but not on this character screen, on a picture that I've taken. It's going to be a little bit of a different kind of video or a different kind of setup, just because I haven't already acquired all the different types of pieces out there that make this build the best that I see it for what it is. And this build can definitely improve depending on jewels and stuff and how you rearrange your jewels and depending on what kind of jewels you do have already. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and show you each piece of armor to go for, the best in the slot piece of armor that I see fit. And then I'll show you the overall stats at the end. So starting off, we're going to get the Dragoon Shocking Helm. This helm is a huge upgrade from the Stormy Paradox one, simply because it gives you more critical, gives you one less damage. This is fine. It gives you another, essentially another windstorm, the mass storm trap to all enemies for 30%. Gives you more armor, power pip chance, gives you more health. Same shadow pip, one less accuracy, which is okay because it still keeps your sustain high and you're able to keep that max pips and max accuracy. And then, of course, 5 extra bonus Storm Pierce, which as a Storm Wizard, you always want armor piercing so that you can cut through shields, so that you can hit harder and hit quicker and don't have to worry about resist, those bubbles, or any shields or anything like that. So it's very nice to have high armor piercing. Next piece is obviously your Malistaire robe. You don't really need to swap this or anything like that. This is Darkmoor's #1 robe. Tier 1, best in slot, always use it. The boots, you're going to upgrade from the Paradox boots all the way up to these boots here. So that's a nice little upgrade for Storm as well. They give you Potent Trap and Sharpened Blade. This just has real high damage, high critical, gives you bonus resist, which is nice, power pip chance. You're missing out on accuracy, but you make up on your accuracy on your hat, which is nice. And then high power pip chance plus 1,000 health for Storm is really really nice. If you see down in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see I'm almost at 6,000 health. The dagger is still going to be the same from Darkmoor. Nothing's really changed. You're going to be rocking 2 accuracy on it. You can upgrade this dagger to the plant dagger if need be, but I found out that due to some sustain issues, this is obviously the much better choice because the pips, the accuracy, the high damage, and then the incoming is just it's a bonus for having such maybe low resist that you can just simply have the high incoming to get bigger heals when the healer goes to heal you if you run with the healer. Obviously, you want armor piercing jewels in here. And if you don't really have armor piercing jewels, don't sweat it. Put some critical jewels in here. I assume if you have those, they're a little bit easier to acquire. And then you can drop critical on either your amulet or your pet later in the future. The necklace is always going to be the Shame on Shane one. It gives you the most armor piercing and the most critical, as well as the highest resist for amulets for Storm, which is nice. Plus, you also get a bonus because you get a Shadow Shield, which is nice in the upcoming Catacomb dungeons. And then also Galvanic Field, which is nice, so you don't have to run that in your deck. You have it already on your amulet for free. You get some square sockets, which is nice. I always recommend running at least one stun resist jewel in any of the square sockets, whether it's on your wand, whether it's on your amulet, or whether it's on your ring. I highly recommend you run at least one so that when you use TC Conviction, it gives you 95% stun resist. So it's important to have that max stun resist so you don't get stunned. Ring, we're going to go to Dragoon Shocking Ring. This ring is very important in the sense that it gives you the most critical in-game as of this moment. You don't get mana off this, but that's perfectly fine because we already have more than enough mana as it is in the bottom left-hand corner. But, you know, that's just something to consider in case you run low on mana, I suppose. You want a pet that has triple damage, triple critical. Now, if your jewels aren't armor piercing and you run crit jewels, you can obviously knock one of the criticals off. And if you run all critical jewels instead of armor piercing jewels, you can probably get real close to knocking 2 crits off this pet and running just a quint damage pet, with one critical, or you can just run like a proof if you want more resist for more survivability with this setup. I also recommend running a pet with a blade. That's also very important. The mount, this will be upgraded. This is 2% right now, which is fine, but your ultimate goal you want is the Gulcher mount for the 3%. If you don't mind the 3% mount, then obviously just settle for a bundle one like this, or try to get the Battle Mage Keep one that also offers a 2% damage mount, or at least get some mount that gives you something to go for. You know, some kind of stat is better than a mount with no stats whatsoever in my book. The deck is going to be the Stormy Paradox. This is the only Paradox piece you will be wearing at level 130 because it gives you the most crit. Now, I know a lot of people complain about the max number of copies, and like I said earlier, if you want to drop some of your armor-piercing jewels because you don't have armor-piercing, you run crit in those and then swap this deck to the Rasputin deck and run this. We have a lot of critical on this build thanks to the Dragoon pieces of armor. And actually a little bit over max critical, which is nice. So in case the new world comes out, they change crit, I don't have to try to figure out how to raise my crit because I already have quite a bit. So if you want for now, you can swap back to probably the Rasputin deck and still keep max crit. I haven't really checked at that, but ultimately you're going to have around 853 critical, which is a whole lot, considering that 837 is exactly 100% critical. So you definitely have almost about 20 points to spare for critical, and you might be able to squeeze in the Rasputin deck just for more copies if you prefer that. But those are each individual pieces, and let me go ahead and show you the overall setup here that we're looking at. This is the overall setup. All right, you can see each piece. If you want to pause the video and like zoom in on these each of these pieces or anything, or screenshot this is pretty much your overall setup of everything I've calculated. From left to right, you have all your pieces of gear. You have your hat, your robe, your boots, your wand, your dagger, your necklace, your ring, your pet, your mount, and your deck. Everything down below is pretty much your overall stats. If you have the Gulcher, you'll have 161 damage. If you have the whale that I have, or the Battle Mage Keep mount, you'll have 160 damage. And pretty much subtract 2 damage or 3 damage from this total stats, depending on whatever amount you have, pretty much. The resist 29 universal, very nice. That's compliments of the boots. It's very nice resist there because you just get a little bit more there. You get like 5 from the Paradox boots, so that's pretty nice to have close to 30 resist. And then of course, if you run, instead of armor piercing jewels, you run critical jewels in your circle sockets or your circle jewels, then essentially you can hopefully drop critical off your pet and run maybe a proof and get this up to 39 resist, which would be even better. But you'd be missing out on armor piercing. But you know, play around with it, see what you like. Accuracy is 35 exact, which is perfect. The only accuracy, you only lost 1 accuracy from swapping from the Paradox hood to the Dragoon hood. And I showed that early on in the video. And so you're only missing out on 1 accuracy, which is fine because most of the spells in your game require 65 base on the card and then 35 accuracy off your gear, giving you 100% total, which is perfectly fine. I know the Iron Sultan, the Scion Tree, and the Witch spell, I can't think of her name right now, Lady of the Lake, I think it is. Those 3 all require 65 base accuracy. Glowbug only requires 30, so if you don't really use those other 3 and you just use Glowbugs, you have 5 accuracy to spare if you want to put something else on. Critical, 853. This is way over max critical. As I said, 837 is max critical, so you definitely have some crit points to kind of switch some pieces around if you see fit. You can obviously upgrade, or you can downgrade, I should say. You can downgrade the medallion, the necklace, from the Shame on Shame necklace to Morganth if you prefer the Stormblade more. You lose 5 critical, but like I said, the crit points are higher than max crit right now, so you have some crit points to spare if you want to sacrifice some crit and go for a blade or an amulet with a blade. You can obviously swap your jewels out, get some crit jewels in there, and then swap around some other pieces as you see fit. Crit block is 60%. or not 60%, sorry, my bad, 60 rating, which is about 1%, probably even less than 1%. Armor piercing is 31% armor piercing, which is really, really, really strong. Higher than the previously 130 storm setup that I posted a couple months ago, thanks to the Dragoon helmet that made this thing possible, as well as the wand. The wand actually gives you armor piercing now, which is really, really strong. Power pip chance is still max percent at 106%. Incoming will be 28 base. You can raise this higher if you take the wand, the amulet, and the ring in those square sockets on each of those, and you can put incoming into each of those square sockets. Your incoming will go from 28 up to 28 plus, whatever's higher than 28, depending on whatever jewels you put in. Outgoing is going to be a base at 3% thanks to the boots. You don't really need outgoing as a storm wizard. You're mainly focused on like damage, critical, and armor piercing. But outgoing is good in case you have to throw like a healing current to your friend. I don't know why. But for whatever the reason is, maybe you have to. Pip conversion is really good for a storm wizard. And as such, I like to run it kind of high. I have 480, which is about 25 to 30% pip conversion. You can definitely get this higher depending on what kind of deck you run or what kind of wand you run. You can obviously get this higher. I like to have mine relatively high because if this gear is going to give me that high pip conversion, go for it. Because if you've ever noticed how pip conversion works is if you have 3 power pips and you use something like bugs, you're missing out on a pip because you have 3 power pips, which is essentially 6 total pips, and bugs requires 5 pips. So you're missing out on an extra pip, and that pip conversion will conserve that pip and give it to you back the next or the following round or at the end of the round. So that's very nice to gain back your pips because you have glow bugs that use odd number of pips. Stormlord uses 7, which is an odd number of pips, and Sirens, which is 9, which also uses an odd number of pips. Plus you have the Scion Tree, which is 11, that also is an odd number of pips. So you have a bunch of awesome overpowered spells that use an odd number of pips so that you have a potential, instead of losing a power pip for an odd number spell, you can actually potentially gain that new pip back for the following round, whatever the reason is. So ultimately, if it works or if it pops off, next round you have 100% power pip chance. You'll gain a power pip instantly. So within one round, you have the potential to gain 3 pips. And anytime you have the potential to gain pips, do it, because obviously the more pips you get, the quicker you can hit. Shadow pip percent is 9%, which is really, really high. This is going to be pretty much the new base thanks to the boots, the hat, and what else? The robe. All those add up to 9%. And then, of course, if you have triangle sockets and you don't really care about your accuracy or power pip chance, you can get those higher depending on your jewels. Stun resist, I recommend 5%. You can obviously go higher. I showed you on the ring, the amulet, and the wand, you have square sockets free, as you can see in the pictures as well. It's kind of small. I'll try to make them bigger next time. But you have 5 stun resist. Hopefully there in one of those square sockets, you have 4 of them available to you. You can have up to 20% stun resist if you want to. It's a bit overkill. I'd spread them out among your wizards if you have other wizards that also need 5 stun res in them. And then, or just run incoming if you prefer higher incoming than stun resist, whatever you prefer. Health, this is about base. I think I calculated the health with this overall setup and then with a 125 tier jewel in each of the tier slots. And I thought I got up to around 5912. But you can probably get this higher depending on the jewels. If they come out with, I think, 130 health jewels, I'm not 100% sure on that. And then, of course, if you run a different piece of armor, like you substitute something else and you make this set work for how you play and your play style, you can get real close to breaking that 6,000, or you might actually break the 6,000 health if you swap some stuff around. So this is the overall setup, guys. These are the overall stats. This is the main primary focus. I have most of these pieces except for the wand and for the mount. So obviously my stats aren't going to be 100% until I get these, obviously. But this is your ultimate goal here. This is the primary focus of this video, and this is why it's kind of new. Is normally I have all the pieces and I show you my build, and this is what I run on my wizard currently when I have all those pieces. But I know it's going to be a while before I get the wand because I have to rely on RNG. And then I don't think I'm ever going for the Stormy Paradox, or the, not Stormy Paradox, the Gulcher mount, because I already have a mount that gives me 2 damage, and I really want a mount that gives me 3 damage just for 1 potential extra damage. But I don't want to have to sacrifice a lot of crowns just to open up for 1 more damage. So this is like the most effective build if I ever wanted like best in slot, essentially. Obviously, you can get your higher damage. You can get your damage higher, obviously, if you sacrifice armor piercing. What I mean by this is when you sacrifice armor piercing, you can put crit jewels in there inside your circle slots. Sacrifice critical on your pet, get more damage on your pet, thus raising up your damage overall. So you can do that, or you can swap to a different wand, or you can swap to a different dagger. Just other stats will change depending on what you swap to. Most of the time I see people running anywhere from 160 to 165 damage when they have all the Dragoon pieces of armor that matter. And that's just because it all depends on what their accuracy is, their power pip chance, or their armor pierce. So, with all that said, hopefully you can retain as much of that as possible. If not, just go ahead and rewatch the video all over again, but mainly screenshot this page or this picture here, as this is the most important ultimate thing you want to go for as a Storm Wizard. If you have any thoughts, opinions, or comments, please let me know in the comment section below. If you have an alternative build or an alternative setup or an alternative piece of gear, or just a better piece of gear overall, let me know. Post it down in the comment section. I'll check it out and determine whether or not I want to add that to this current build here. But this is the 130 Storm setup, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff to let me know that you're actually watching my videos and enjoying the videos. And that's pretty much it, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in another video. Bye-bye.